Do I walk away or do I stay? How many of you have asked yourself this question when you're dealing with the same issue over and over again in your relationship? And I got this question in the comments. I got permission from them to answer it, and I see a lot of couples deal with very similar issues. So here it says, I was wondering if you could do an episode on recurring relationship issues and how to know when to walk away or just accept something. I've been with my partner for almost 4 years and we've had one recurring issue throughout the whole relationship. When we're not together, I feel that she basically forgets I exist and does a very poor job of communicating with me. It hurts every time and she always promises to work on it, but it's been 4 years of the same cycle. Is there something I should do differently to get the message across? Should I just learn to accept that this is how she is when we're apart, or should this be a deal breaker? So in true annoying therapy fashion, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to give you some things to think about and some other ways to consider managing this issue. And of course, I'm going to be using my lesbian dating survival guide because dating shouldn't be harder than coming out. My name's Katie. I'm a licensed counselor in North Carolina. I've been an out lesbian for 25 years. I have a wife. We have kids. I mostly have queer clients. Please subscribe to my channel and help me out.
Lesbians, come on. Oh my God, lesbians. Rounding the corner with a bunch of lesbians.
So there are 3 things I would consider here if I was doing couples therapy with these clients. Number 1 would be attachment styles. Number 2, managing perpetual problems. And number 3, managing expectations with clear communication and planning. And I'm going to cover all 3 of these in this video. So this could seem like a really surface level issue, but there's usually something deeper going on with issues like this. And the first thing I would be curious about is if this is an attachment style issue. And this could be a situation where the person who wrote this comment has anxious attachment and they're with someone who possibly has avoidant attachment, or it could be secure. And an attachment style is simply the way we relate to others in close relationships. It's shaped by early childhood experiences and stays with us into adulthood. Now, none of these styles are good or bad, and this is not a mental health issue. This is simply a way we relate to others in relationships.
Lesbians, is this normal?
If you're in a relationship or dating, you really need to know your attachment style. So let's first look at anxious attachment. You're needing constant validation, have jealousy or clingy tendencies, you have fear of rejection or difficulty being without them, difficulty being alone, few boundaries, and you need connection in order to feel secure in the relationship. And the other person might be secure where they just don't worry about the relationship as much and they really trust you, or they could have avoidant attachment where they are emotionally distant or extremely independent. They avoid conflict or are unresponsive to their partners. And these people actually really enjoy their space and can easily feel smothered in relationships. Or it could just be that your partner is super busy at work and they simply don't like texting or don't like talking on the phone.
The commented saying that my lesbian marriage was destined for heartbreak were right. My wife left me this morning to go to work. I don't know, man. I just feel like that's fucked up. Well,
but either way, this is a perpetual problem and big enough that you're considering leaving the relationship over it. Now, if I was doing therapy with these clients, I would ask a lot of questions like how often they're apart. Are you referring to going on trips separately or just going to work or school each day? Is this like a weekly argument or a monthly or daily argument? And the answer to those questions would matter a lot.
Can we go out tonight? Where? Like dancing? No, I don't want to go dancing. Come on, let's go. No, you can go without me if you want.
I don't want to go without you.
Why? Why do we have to do everything together?
Dancing.
No, I don't want to.
And I'd also want to know things like if you live together, do you get to see each other in the evenings, and how much time you actually spend together. So they say, when we're not together, it's like she forgets I exist. She promises to change, but it always ends up the same. Should I accept this as how she is, or is this a deal breaker? So if you have anxious attachment, you're going to be telling yourself a story about what this disconnection means to you. And by the way you wrote this out, when you said, it's like she forgets that I exist, this tells me that you could be telling yourself something like, she just doesn't care about me, I'm not a priority, I'm just invisible to her. And I'm guessing actually that none of those things are actually true if you think about it rationally. You're probably very important to your partner, and just because you think that's what the disconnection means, that doesn't necessarily mean that's true. So with anxious attachment and this fear of losing the relationship, you could actually have negativity bias where you're very sensitive to any feeling of disconnection, and you're hyper vigilant and focused on any sense of feeling disconnected from your partner. People with anxious attachment, a partner going quiet doesn't feel neutral. It really feels like rejection. So their brain goes into overdrive trying to figure out if they did something wrong, whether they're being abandoned or ignored, and what they need to do to get back into connection with their partner, even if the partner is just busy or distracted with something else. People with anxious attachment might feel like the relationship is rocky even when it's not. The second thing to look at is if this is a perpetual problem or a solvable problem. So the Gottmans, who've studied couples for over 40 years, say that most couples have what we call perpetual problems, and in fact 69% of problems in relationships are perpetual problems. These are the ongoing issues that actually don't go away, and they won't ever actually be resolved. And the real question is, can we manage this issue together without hurting each other? Or does it feel like it's constantly creating distance and resentment? Are the arguments about it getting worse and worse? So you want to be able to discuss perpetual problems and understand each other's perspectives without it being about who's right or who's wrong. And really try to hear each other's perspectives around the issue. The partner who isn't keeping in touch might be one of those people who tries to be really present in the moment with whatever they're doing, and maybe they just don't want to always be on their phone. Now let's talk about communicating expectations. Have you really been clear about exactly what it is you need and why? So when you're away from your partner and you start feeling disconnected, do you think to yourself something like, here we go again, she always does this to me, I knew she didn't care about me? Then maybe you might text something snarky or act passive aggressive to get her attention. Now, I don't know if you do this, but some people do that. And then you might text something like, why do you always ignore me? Which is probably gonna start an argument and then push them away. So consider trying something different if you haven't already, and maybe come up with specific times to check in. That way you don't have to wonder when you're gonna be reconnecting with your partner, because you actually have a plan for when you're gonna be talking again. You don't wanna just be vague about what you need and say, I need for you to keep in better touch with me. You wanna have a specific plan for this. So before leaving each other for the day, you could say something like, hey, I want to talk to you sometime today. Can we talk at lunch? And having a plan and then knowing when you're going to reconnect will help the nervous system to stay calm. And that way you can tell yourself, I do know when I'll hear from her. I don't need to chase closeness right now. I don't need to check my phone every 5 minutes because I know we're talking at 12:30 or whatever time you decide.
Lesbian girl math is that if you have been apart from each other for a week, then that is technically a month in room. 1 hour on the phone is just 10 minutes.
And it's really important that you let your partner know the meaning behind you needing that connection. So if you have anxious attachment, then explain this to your partner and how the disconnection makes you feel like something's wrong in the relationship and that you feel like you might be losing them, and that you're not a priority, which isn't true, but that's the way it just feels. And let your partner know in that moment that you need connection without being critical. So you could say, I'm feeling disconnected and insecure right now. Can you just tell me everything's okay with us? I need 5 minutes of your time. Call me when you can. And here's a really big key takeaway in moments like this. Always try to make a generous assumption about your partner. Disconnection doesn't necessarily mean that they don't care. So in an ideal situation, you're able to hear each other's perspectives without being critical or defensive and come up with a clear plan of what seems reasonable for both of you. Then if either of you can't hold up to your end of the deal, then you have to ask yourself, is this something I can live with? And then if the answer is no, then you'll know that you did your best. Because if somebody shows you repeatedly that they won't meet you where you are, then walking away isn't quitting, it's honoring the part of you that knows that you deserve better.
I do everything for my girlfriend, you know?
So thank you for this question. Thanks for watching. If you have an issue that you think I could answer in a quick video, then just leave me a comment below. Just make sure it's something that you think a lot of people might be able to relate to. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
How soon into dating did you two move in together?
We actually waited a really long time.
Like a week?
That's fucked up, first of all.